Welcome back to Chicago Bears Hub. I am AJ LaMaestro, and before we get into the absolute chaos that is this tight end situation, I have to say something from the bottom of my heart. We just crossed 1,000 subscribers, 1,000 of you, real ones, riding with me through every trade rumor, every Sunday meltdown, every why is Caleb Williams doing that moment. I am genuinely grateful. But guess what? We don't stop at 1,000 around here. The new target is 2,000. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Smash that button right now before I even finish this sentence because the way this Bears season is shaping up, you do not want to miss a single upload. Now, let's talk tight ends because Chicago just quietly built one of the most dangerous, most athletic, most criminally underrated rooms in the entire National Football League. And nobody outside of Bears Twitter is talking about it the way they should be. In my own personal opinions, this is the most complete tight end group this franchise has had in a generation, and I'm about to walk you through exactly why. Let's start with the new. Now, on paper, $7.35 million over 4 years. Doesn't sound like a headline. It sounds like a rounding error compared to some of the contracts flying around the league, but that is exactly the point. That's less than $2 million a season for a guy who tested as one of the most explosive athletes at his position in the entire draft class. As reported around the league, Roush posted a relative athletic score that was the highest of any tight end eligible for this year's draft. Let that marinate. The highest of any tight end. That's not a throwaway third round flyer, that's a lottery ticket that already hit. And here's where I go on my soapbox for a second, because I say this every single week on this channel. You build sustainable rosters through the draft. You do not build them by throwing monopoly money at 30-year-old free agents every March. Ben Johnson and this front office understand that better than almost anybody in the league right now. And Sam Roush's contract is proof number 1001. When you can get a tight end this athletic, this physical, locked in below $2 million a year for 4 seasons, that is cap space you get to redirect toward paying your actual stars. And make no mistake, this Bears roster has stars in that tight end room that are going to need to get paid and paid handsomely in the very near future. Let's talk about who Sam Roush actually is as a player because, in my own personal opinions, people are sleeping on this pick way too hard. Stanford product, team captain in his final season, second team All ACC. Across his 4 years in Palo Alto, he racked up well over 100 career catches and over 200 receiving yards. But that's not even the scary part. The scary part is what he does when he's not catching the ball. Reports out of Chicago's building have made it clear this kid is viewed as an elite inline blocker first, a pass catcher second, and that combination is exactly what Ben Johnson's offense is starving for. Multiple reports have suggested Roush projects as a key piece in heavier personnel groupings, particularly those 13 personnel packages, that's 3 tight ends on the field at once, which, if you watch the way certain playoff teams use that exact formula last season to bulldoze opposing defensive fronts, you understand why Chicago is racing to copy that blueprint. So now picture the room. You've got Sam Roush as this blocking hammer who can still catch when you need him to. You've got a proven 6 year veteran in Cole Kmet, a guy who has been the steady, dependable presence in that huddle no matter what version of chaos the Bears offense has gone through over the years. And then you've got the headliner, the reason this whole room is must-watch television, Colston Loveland. Let's get into it because ESPN just dropped their tight end rankings for this upcoming season, and Colston Loveland checked in at number 7 overall. Now, on the surface, top 7 sounds great, right? A rookie, well, now a second-year man. Cracking the top 10 at his position league-wide, that's an accomplishment. But in my own personal opinions, and I want you to comment below whether you agree or disagree, number 7 is disrespectful. This man should be a top 3 tight end in the National Football League, full stop, and I'm going to prove it to you. According to ESPN's own reporting on why Loveland landed where he did, the evaluators pointed directly to how he closed out last season. Over his final stretch of games, including the playoffs, Loveland was putting up numbers that looked less like a rookie finding his footing and more like a certified problem for opposing defensive coordinators. He was commanding a target share pushing 30% down the stretch, which, if you know anything about how offenses distribute the football, that is an enormous chunk of the passing game running directly through a tight end. That's not a complimentary piece, that's a focal point. And here's the part that should make every Bears fan sit up straight. Caleb Williams posted a passer rating over 121 when he was targeting Loveland specifically. Over 120. That's not chemistry, that's borderline telepathy. These two have been building something since Loveland stepped on the field as a rookie, and according to Loveland himself, in comments he's given this offseason, that connection with Caleb has only kept growing stronger heading into this year. When your franchise quarterback and your budding star tight end are already speaking the same language at that level, in my own personal opinions, that's the kind of connection that turns into a top five, even a top three weapon by midseason. Now let's rewind because context matters here. Remember the draft? Remember when Chicago used a top 10 pick on Loveland and half the fan base was up in arms? Everybody wanted an edge rusher. Everybody wanted defensive help. And instead, the front office stood firm, stayed at that pick, and selected a tight end out of Michigan. The outrage was real. I remember the comment sections. And you know what happened? Multiple teams reportedly tried to trade UP into that exact draft slot to go get him. That's not speculation. That's a matter of record around league circles. Teams saw what Chicago saw, and once that rookie season kicked into gear, he wins an NFC Offensive Player of the Week award against a divisional opponent. And from that moment forward, the tape only got scarier. One NFL coordinator speaking anonymously to ESPN as part of that same ranking piece called Loveland unbelievable, praising him specifically as a smooth mover with real toughness attached to his game. That's the dream scouting report for a modern tight end. Someone who can separate like a wide receiver but still hold up physically against NFL caliber defenders in the trenches. And who's coaching him? Ben Johnson, a head coach who has literally built his reputation around unlocking elite tight end play at two previous stops in this league. If there is any coach on the planet built to turn a top 7 tight end into a top 3, or even a legitimate number 1, it is the man currently running this Bears offense. Let's talk about where Loveland lands relative to the rest of the league, because this is where I really start getting worked up, in my own personal opinions. He's currently slotted behind a tight end from a fellow NFC North team who has practically been remade into a superstar under Ben Johnson's old system, and also behind another division rival's tight end. So think about that for a second. Two of the three tight ends ranked ahead of Loveland play in the same division the Bears play in twice a year. If you're a Bears fan, that's not a reason to panic, that's a reason to get excited, because it means the blueprint for greatness at this position already exists inside this very division, and now Chicago has arguably the most talented raw piece of clay to work with. And ESPN's own reporting hinted at what's coming. One NFL personnel evaluator suggested we should expect to see a lot more 2 and 3 tight end sets out of Chicago this season. And there's a real belief growing around the league that Loveland could emerge as the Bears' top receiving option, period, not just top tight end. Full stop. Ahead of the wide receivers. Ahead of everybody. That's the kind of statement that should be making headlines all on its own. And yet somehow this entire tight end story has been flying under the radar this offseason while everybody's been distracted by other roster drama. Now, here's where I bring it all together, because this is bigger than just one contract signing or one magazine ranking. This is about roster architecture. This is about a front office that finally understands how to build a sustainable winner in this league. You draft a superstar tight end at the top of the draft in Loveland. You keep your steady veteran presence in K-Met without breaking the bank, and then you go find a physical freak of an athlete in the third round in Sam Roush. Lock him up for 4 years at a bargain rate. And suddenly, you've got a positional group that can run 3 tight end sets that absolutely suffocate opposing defenses while still stretching the field vertically whenever Loveland is the one getting matched up. There have been rumblings, and I want to address this honestly because I'm not going to sit here and pretend this room is drama-free. There has been chatter about Cole Kmet's long-term future with this team, given how the depth chart is shaping up behind him. His contract situation has reportedly been restructured, which some around the league view as a sign he could become more valuable as a trade chip somewhere down the line as Chicago decides to fully hand the reins to Loveland and lean on Roush as the physical complement. In my own personal opinions, I don't think that happens this season. I think this year the Bears run all 3 of these guys out there in rotation and let the results speak for themselves. But it's something to watch, and if you want me to do a full breakdown on K-Met's future with this franchise, drop that in the comments, and I will absolutely make that its own episode. Here's my bottom line, and I want you to really sit with this. This tight end room might be the single most underrated positional group on the entire Chicago Bears roster heading into this season. Everybody wants to talk about the offensive line. Everybody wants to talk about the secondary. And don't get me wrong, those conversations matter. But when the football's in the air and Caleb Williams needs a security blanket who can also take the top off of defense, this room has multiple different weapons he can lean on depending on the exact matchup. Roush gives you the brute force blocking element that opens up the run game. Komet gives you the steady professional presence who's seen every kind of coverage the league can throw at him. And Loveland gives you the alpha, the guy who, in my own personal opinions, is going to look back at this number 7 ranking by season's end and laugh about it because he is going to be a legitimate top 3 tight end in the National Football League before the calendar flips to next year. So I want to hear from you directly. Down in that comment section, I want a number. Where do you personally rank Colston Loveland among all tight ends in football right now, 1 through 10? Comment a 1 if you think he's already the best tight end alive. Comment a 10 if you're more skeptical. I already told you where I land. I've got him at number 3, and I think by December, a lot of people who scoffed at that will be eating their words. That's the tight end takeover, Bears fans. That's the story nobody else is covering with the depth it deserves. And that's exactly why you need to be part of this channel moving forward. If this breakdown opened your eyes even a little bit to how loaded this room actually is, do me a favor, smash that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel grow. Drop your Loveland ranking, your thoughts on the Roush contract, your honest take on where Komet fits into all of this. I read every single comment and I will be replying down there. And if you have not subscribed yet, seriously, what are you waiting for? We just hit 1,000 subscribers and I am not slowing down. 2,000 is the next stop, and I need every single one of you along for that ride. Hit subscribe, turn on those notifications because there is a lot more no filter Bears news coming your way. This has been AJ LaMaestro, Chicago Bears Hub, and I will see you in the next one.